Every time we come to the end of a racing season, it's time to face the final curtain with a tinge of sadness, but some great memories and some fun racing times along the way. However, there is just one more battleground to compete on: to race hard, race fair, with both driver and machine pushing to the absolute limit when bragging rights are clearly up for grabs. It couldn't be any further from the truth, as we are primed and ready to race one more time this season with the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League. Hello everyone, it's Alex Goldschmidt, and joining me in the booth tonight will be DJ Clark, with Daniel Costello, our man behind the scenes, as our director, and he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. And you'll get to see every single second of the action right here live in sound and vision on the Global SimRacing Channel. What's more, it's home soil this time for all the competitors, as we are racing tonight at the world-renowned and highly acclaimed Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We'll see GT4s head out onto the track, and we'll definitely provide one hell of a show for those watching wherever you are in the world, along with those that have decided to get behind the wheel. But before racing hits fever pitch here with Georgia clearly on our minds, let's take a look at the home of Petit Le Mans with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track.
The driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League is powered by DiscoveryParts. DiscoveryParts is a supporter of DCRA and brings a full range of safety gear for the members at the private track day events. By bringing a wide selection of safety gear, they make sure that DCRA members get the perfect gear the first time, every time. And with that, welcome back into the fray for DCRA, Mr. DJ Clark. How are you, buddy? All good?
I'm doing well, and I couldn't be more excited to be here at Road Atlanta. This is one of the newer offerings in terms of American road racing, but it is certainly one of the best gems in the entire country, Alex. This is an absolute blast of a circuit from the high commitment turn 1 to the very, very tricky run through turns 3 and 4, down through the S's, the long blast down the back straightaway. It doesn't get a whole lot better than this, and I gotta tell you, I'm headed to this place in about 2.5 weeks' time, and I couldn't be more excited.
Gives you a bit of a tune-up for your IRL escapades, because you're going to be doing a lot of that this season. But of course, this track opened back in September of 1970. 12 turns, 2.54 miles. A lot of blind crests, a lot of elevation changes, especially going through turns 1 to 4, and then the chicane at turn 10A and and B before we go over the crest, down through turns 11 and 12 and a short blast to the start-finish straight. Of course, DJ, we are switching to GT4s, and of course, the times that we're seeing aren't too far off what we've seen. There is an actual IRL GT4 lap record, but here is the format. A 20-minute sprint, then we'll have a little bit of an ASMR break between that whilst we have a bit of a review of the sprint race before we get into the 25-minute feature. Open setup, drive-through penalty at 25x incident points. And what's more, DJ, we're one shy of a 10-car grid, but we've got a whole host of machinery. We've got the BMW M4 GT4. Of course, the likes of Turner Motorsport use that quite prolifically. We also see the Mercedes AMG GT4, the good old McLaren 570S now replaced by the newer generation Artura, and then of course the good old 718 Cayman GT4 from Porsche. So we're going to see a mix of machinery, but what are the folks at home going to be tuning in for tonight with these production-based sports cars?
Well, what they're going to be tuning in for is truly a tricky track as you handle it. When you come down through the S's, when you throw the car into turn one, in particular on those two sections of the track, we're used to seeing a little bit more of higher downforce machines take to those corners, through 6 and 7 as well. A prime example is particularly turn 6. In the higher downforce machines, the prototypes that we're used to kind of seeing here around Road Atlanta, even the GT3 cars, you can really send those cars into the corner and really allow the downforce to take hold. But in these GT4s, it's less downforce, it's less aerodynamic forces pushing the cars into the ground. You've got to rely a lot more on mechanical grip. So I think particularly on the first half of this lap, you're going to see drivers struggle a little bit more. I think you're going to see some drivers maybe fall into a little bit of trouble, and that's going to be the real danger zone. Also have to give a quick shout out there to Seth Thomas. Absolutely love the NOLA Sport livery there. That race is in my series in Pirelli GT4 America. Love seeing that out on the track.
Also have to give a shout out to the number 6 of Philip Crane running the good old-fashioned BASF livery that has been seen on a multitude of machineries with a variety of different interpretations, including Wool Racing back at the Repco Bathurst 12 Hours, part of the opening round of this year's Intercontinental GT Challenge powered by Pirelli that will see the ADAC 24 Hours of the Nürburgring Nordschleife on it for the very first time. But at the moment, Jamil Gummer, we are seeing, is the quickest out there on a 1:25.355. Rafael Torres, who we both witnessed come into significant strife, clipping the barriers going onto the banking at Daytona International Speedway in the Porsche 963 GTP cars. But it's always nice when there's a little bit of variety in a community league like this. Of course, the private track day events that the DCRA host at Road Atlanta, you know, this always gives them an opportunity to get some good old wheel time behind the wheel of their sims, and of course don't have to worry about whatever machinery they bring to the virtual racetrack, because they don't have to worry about the repairs afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. It allows you to kind of come out a little bit more and maybe test the car's limits a little bit more than you would normally out on the circuit. But I think for these drivers, as we said, Road Atlanta is their home, so they're going to know this circuit very well. The other thing that I'm going to be a little bit interested in here at this point, Alex, is that open setup portion of this series. Now, you can really set this car up, or any of these GT4 models up, for two different thoughts of philosophies, and really and truly it's for the first half of the lap or for the second half of the lap. You can set it up with a little bit more downforce to get good speed through turns 1, going down through turn 5, 6 and 7 to be able to get that blast, or you can be a little bit sketchier, a little bit looser in that area and take away the aerodynamics, get that wing a little bit flatter, and make it run for top-line speed. And so I'm going to be interested to see if we're going to be able to tell any of those discrepancies between these cars.
Yeah, DCOG's back in the place, everybody, in the number 7 BMW M4 GT4, of which we have 3 on the grid. We only have one McLaren, which we've just seen Daniel Vincent in the number 100 pilot. Jamil Gummer is currently leading the way by nearly 7.5 tenths of a second, ahead of Rafael Torres, with Jason Owens, Daniel Vincent, Seth Thomas rounding out the top 5. For those watching along on the GSRC channel, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we have the live timing link pinned in the YouTube chat for you all to click on, so you can keep an eye on lap times, of course, pace differentials, and some other bits and pieces of trivia, such as iRacing, their current license spec. So DCOG underneath the Motul Bridge, as we've got the checkered out for the qualifying session at the moment, so the drivers have about 1 minute and 40 left to go in the session, but Jamil Gummer has been one of the tour de forces in this series here at DCRA, but of course there is no traditional championship standings. It's just basically bragging rights, and they can laugh about it at Road Atlanta when they go for their private track day events and, you know, discuss it over a nice hot coffee in the morning, ready before the on-track action happens. But we have got 10 cars, so it is Jamil Gummer that will put it on pole position for race 1 out of 2 for the 5th and final round here on the GSRC channel, live and uninterrupted. Rafael Torres in second. A bit of a close spread, DJ, between Jason Owens in third, down to Philip Crane in 7th. Then we got Tyler Neal, Todd Westphaling, and Cameron Campbell rounding out the finishing order in this qualifying session. But you and I both know qualifying, you know, times are for show, points are to go, so to speak, and it is going to be about how everyone manages to get through turns 1 to 4, and then obviously they've got to be very, very careful going through the S's, because we both know that turn 5 is one of the biggest places here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, where any small error and that car goes sideways into turn 5, you are going to hit the wall and possibly pinball to the other side.
Yeah, very, very much so. And especially on cold tires here, when they're starting out in this race, that's when it can be a real problem for these drivers. They're going to have to really watch out, make sure that they keep everything underneath them. As we said earlier in the broadcast, not able to rely on that aerodynamic grip. It's all going to be about the rubber meeting the road. And the same is going to be true as they fling their way into turn 1 that we take a look at right now. Remember, it's going to be a flying start around here as we take a look at the starting grid.
So Jamil Gummer picks up pole position for the penultimate race of this season of DCRA. Rafael Torres in the 777 BMW will be on the outside of the front row. Jason Owens in the number 2 Mercedes will be joined by the McLaren 570S GT4 of Daniel Vincent. Seth Thomas and DCOG round out row number 3, completing the top 6, with Philip Crane and Tyler Neal rounding out the penultimate row of the grid, with Todd Westphaling and Cameron Campbell, both in Porsche Cayman 718 GT4s, rounding out the 10-strong grid. The total split between pole and 10th was around about 5.3 seconds, but qualifying is one thing, racing is something completely different, as everyone is starting to grid up. 84 degrees Fahrenheit air temp, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's 29 degrees Celsius and 35 degrees Celsius. Big winds here, DJ, 20 miles an hour to the south, and then a 35% humidity. Of course, obviously, everyone's been waiting for the big Week 13 update, where we've seen a lot of content talking about rain now, with the Tempest racing system now being implemented here on the iRacing service. This is going to be quite interesting. I mean, the humidity is going to be something, because it's going to cause a possible problem with regards to cold tires, cold brakes, but the wind from a south direction at 20 miles an hour, that's also going to give a problem if you're going into that headwind.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I'd be a little bit more worried about it, frankly, when you get on the crosswind coming through some of these corners. It's going to really affect the aerodynamics on these cars. And remember, these are more standard production type vehicles. Yes, they are supercars, let's call them that. I mean, I wouldn't say supercars, but they are fast cars. You've got your Mercedes sort of based on the SLS there, BMW M4s, McLarens, things like that. But some of them, particularly that BMW, a little bit boxy in the way that it is, and that's going to get really affected by those wind gusts.
So the Porsche pace car screams off into the distance here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Now into the pit lane. goes the pace car. It's going to be Gummer versus Torres on the front row. They are coming through turn number 12. Green flag is in the air. We are underway for the penultimate race of this season of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League here at Road Atlanta. Gummer leads the field, followed by Torres, Owens, Vincent, Decog, Seth Thomas, who's up into P5, Tyler Neal, Philip Crane and Cameron Campbell. Well, West Felling, I think, might have just managed to do a fast repair and start from pit road, but Gummer's already got a 7.5 advantage, and is that Gummer in the wall? I think it is.
Oh my goodness, I think it is as well. That Mercedes AMG absolutely torn up and destroyed here at this point. No, that's Jason Owens. Jason Owens around.
Oh, well, they had very, very similar liveries, and I thought that was a bit of a pinch point, and that is exactly what DJ was saying. Cold tyres, lap 1, and we're scheduled to possibly have 14 laps here around this just over 2.5 mile circuit. Tyler Neal in the number 3 Porsche 718, trying to close in on the BMW M4, the number 7 of Decog, as they go down the back straightaway. A very, very long bit of tarmac. Probably the longest bit of tarmac. These drivers will be at full racing speed. As Daniel Vincent in the McLaren is being pressurised by the Nola Sport car of Seth Thomas, but Decog tags the back of Seth Thomas and does a 180 through turn 10A. I think was just a little bit late on the brakes. Nearly ends up doing a celebratory donut inadvertently, but there goes Philip Crane in the BASF liveried BMW M4, gets through neatly out of turn 12 on Tyler Neal and finds himself up into P5.
Well, he is one that is able to take advantage of others' misfortune here at this point, and that's exactly what he needed to be able to do. Let's go back and take a look at the replay here at this point. I think this is going to be the incident that we saw with Jason Owens. Let's watch right now. This is coming up over turn 2. Very tricky corner, absolutely blind. Catches a little bit of that grass on the inside of 3 and coming down into the S's. The rear end of that car just starting to break away on him, and I think that was a slow, lazy spin there that was just kind of leading itself along through turns 2, 3, and into 4.
Yeah, the inside of that part of the circuit does really have a short amount of grassy runoff area, and you are carrying quite a bit of momentum through that part of the circuit. But in the meantime, Jamil Gummer in the number 1 in the Mercedes has pulled a gap over Rafael Torres in the leading BMW M4 to the tune of nearly 1.8 seconds as we are about to complete our 3rd lap here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And we are a little bit further back. That is the number 20 of Todd Westphaling, who managed to get onto the circuit. Was due to start a little bit further towards the back end of the top 10 as we are 3 minutes down, 17 to go. No surprise there. Rafael Torres really getting in some pretty good hustling times in that BMW, but then Seth Thomas in the Porsche 718, the number 81 running P4 at the moment. Best lap so far, 1:27.317, as Tyler Neal tries to go on the offensive. Carried a bit of momentum and ran a different racing line through turn 1 there, did the Porsche.
Yeah, it looked like he just carried too much speed coming through that corner, but he is all over the back here of Philip Crane. Actually going to take a look down to the S's. That is an aggressive move, and credit there to Crane. Campbell going to follow him on through. I think Crane saw that coming and just kind of backed out of it and said, I don't want any part of this.
Well, when he did that, Cameron Campbell has just managed to get through on the number 6 BMW at the same point, so Crane down from 5th. To 7th, but an audacious and full confidence-laden move there by Tyler Neal up to P5, as we see on our screens now. There's the number 20 of Todd Westphaling closing in on Jason Owens, who was in the pit box for 4.2 seconds, so activated the fast repair, was in the pit lane. Total time 27.8 seconds. That's put him nearly 30 seconds behind Decog, who's dropped all the way down to 8th position. But again, one of the lovely things I like about Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is just the significance of the elevation changes, like we're seeing with the battle here for 5th to 7th place, as Daniel Vincent in P3 puts in the new fastest lap of the race, 1:27.091, is that you are constantly having to really be crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure that when you come out of turn 10B, you're going underneath the bridge. You then got to line it up so you get the exact momentum carry through turn 11 and turn 12. But you've got to be very careful of the curbing on the inside of turn 12 because you don't want to hit that too hard. Otherwise, that's going to put you on the wall on the left-hand side of the start finish straight coming across the line.
Yeah, very, very true. I mean, we often refer to Barber Motorsports Park as the Alabama roller coaster. Well, I got to tell you something. Georgia and Road Atlanta, there's been a roller coaster here since about 1970, and it can claim a little bit more to that throne. But as we watch on board with Crane right now, the other thing to talk about here is, oh, there goes Campbell. I was just about to bring up the elevation of the curves through that far end of the circuit, and Cameron Campbell proving it out for me right there.
Yeah, that was a fate of circumstance. You started talking about it, and then Cameron Campbell just obliged with putting your point out there front and center for everyone to see at home. But Philip Crane in the meantime has managed to start, he's dusted himself off a little bit here as the number 6 BMW, as Rafael Torres new fastest lap of the race, over a 10th quicker than Daniel Vincent's best effort. It's now a 1:26.557. So Tyler Neal, we've seen him have some good times, some bad times in the variety of machinery. We can have a look at the replay here on the on this side of things. So it was coming through into the next left-hander, and there's the curbing, and he just over-rotates it, I think a little bit too eager on the throttle, and it just pitches the back end round, and there's a nice little indent on the center of the front bumper on that 718 Cayman.
Yeah, there certainly is, and that's one of the things you've got to watch out for is just that curbing that can come back to bite you. It's also true at other areas of the track as well, so you've just got to be careful about that and make sure you know when you're going to be able to be making those moves. But as we watch Philip Crane right now closing in behind Neal, I like what I'm seeing here out of Crane. This is a calm, cool, collected approach. It is a constant attack coming to the back here of the number 3 Porsche. This is a good heads-up play.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes in these races, and you and I both know, DJ, we've done our fair share of commentary in both real life and in sim racing, is that a calm head always prevails, and Philip Crane is just making sure that he does not exactly the minimum, but he does, as he's going to launch it up the inside. That was a send and a half. He took a leaf out of Daniel Ricciardo's book right there, through into turn 10A, and Tyler Neal didn't really fight that. I think he just went, well, he's going to get the run on me. I know he's going to get the jump on me through turn 10A. And Philip Crane just obliged, sent it up the inside, laid on the brakes, nailed the apex through turn 10A, and it was a nice carry through to the next part of the chicane.
Yeah, it was a very, very nice carry through. And once again, one of the things that I love about calling this series in particular is the fact of the respect that we see among the drivers. Right there between Crane and Neal. Neal could have been a little bit, dare I say, dirty about that, done what we like to call a Pruitt fade down to the inside, try to trap off the momentum of that BMW, but he didn't. He just let it slide, and that was a good play for him, and that allowed for, frankly, one of the moves of the year that we've seen to actually take place.
Yeah, and particularly at this particular circuit as well. But Jamil Gummer now has, on this particular lap, we're on lap 6, a 3.3 second advantage over Rafael Torres in second. Daniel Vincent is a further 6.5 seconds back in P3. Seth Thomas, Philip Crane, Tyler Neal, driver DCOG, as the saying goes, well, Drivers Club of Georgia, for those wanting the full vernacular on that one, is P7. Cameron Campbell started at the back end of the grid, now currently P8. Jamil Gummer now puts in the newest fastest lap of the race, and it's 1:25.974. He's really on song in the Mercedes AMG GT4 at the front end of the field.
Yeah, he's really feeling that car out, and it's doing a wonderful job there to be able to get its way forward. And I like what I saw out of Gummer. Recognized the attack from Torres, let Torres kind of catch up a little bit, didn't freak himself out, didn't get himself up into a tizzy, just kept on driving and is pushing at the same time. You saw just how far he was over the limit there at the exit of turn 5. That tells me that is a driver that is in touch with the car, in touch with the track, and knows just how far to push it around this circuit.
And also because of the fact that they've had a little bit of a, they've decided to go, well, we've loved doing the GTPs, but the GT4s is a bit more akin to what DCRA do on their private track day events, which is what the drivers are very, very much comfortable at home with. In the meantime, Daniel Vincent being closed in on by Seth Thomas. This is the battle for the final step on the rostrum for P3, and the gap between them is around about 1.1 seconds, and they are pretty much nigh on identical on pace. Well, Vincent's tracking about 0.2 of a second quicker than Thomas as they go through turns 10A and 10B. But this is another bit. You know, one of the things that I also like about circuits that have a challenge here, DJ, is the blind crests. Like I said, you know, when you're measuring it and you're coming up over the crest through turn 10B, and then you've really got to measure that roller coaster sort of like launch down the hill, and it's a flat out a double right-hander through turns 11 and 12. It's just about being confident and knowing, okay, well, if I put the car as far as I can to the left without causing myself a problem, and as I say that, Thomas has just hit the barriers, and I think the right rear has departed from the car. Thomas has just towed it to the garage.
Yeah, taking it back in there at that point. Just too much of a heavy lick on the outside, and that is going to be very, very unfortunate, kind of spoiling what was a good little battle starting to take place over the course of the running. That is going to promote the drivers of Cameron Campbell here up farther in the field, going to continue to grow their gap and try to close their way in. He's got a lot of room to try to make up to get up to DCOG, and there you can see that little indentation courtesy of the damage that he had a little bit earlier on in the race. But nevertheless, I love the mentality for all these drivers. Just keep on keeping on. Never give up and keep on driving, because you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly, like we've just seen with that particular driver. And it just goes to show that Seth Thomas, one wrong move, and that has put him all the way down in stone dead last. Jamil Gummer, again, has just been pretty much consistent on pace. A new fastest lap, a 1:25.689, and is tracking about 0.3 of a second quicker at the moment, so is currently up every single lap. And that's one of the things when you have a driver that's so confident in the car underneath them, with this open setup that we have here with DCRA, that when that driver knows, and he's now tracking about, his pace is tracking about 0.8, maybe make that 1 second better than his previous lap. So being in clear air here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta does you every single favor in the world.
Yeah, it really does, especially in that tricky first half of the lap when you've got those cars in front of you that can disrupt the air a little bit. And it's not just about the aerodynamics, because remember, these GT4 cars, not nearly as aero-dependent, say, as a GT3, or certainly as much as a prototype entry. But it's also just sight lines when you're coming through the corners. If you've got a driver in front of you, it's going to throw you off a little bit in the way that you kind of visualize the corner. You're going to have to adjust your braking zone to make sure you don't run into the back of them or anything of that nature. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So if you're able to come out and be in your own space like this and run your own racing line, you're going to go faster.
And by literally next to nothing, Jamil Gummer has just bettered his personal best by about 6/100ths of a second. Philip Crane is quite a bit away from Daniel Vincent. The gap between them is around about 10.6 seconds as the number 6 BMW hurdles its way through turn number 12. Good use of the curbing there by the number 6 BASF M4 GT4. There's Tyler Neal and DCOG. And DCOG, I have been noticing, is about half a second quicker than Tyler Neal at the moment, so the battle for P5 could really come down to the wire, as we've got 6 minutes and 15 seconds on the timer remaining here in this opening race of the night.
Yeah. We've got a little bit of time left. It's going to be interesting to see how it will play out. Crane working his way on through. There's DCOG. There's the battle with Neal. Remember, Neal hasn't looked necessarily as close as I thought he was going to be. After Philip Crane came off and got that move on by him, I would have thought that Neal would have been able to keep up with him. That really hasn't been the case here. Neal's been falling off the pace, and so this could be an opportunity for DCOG to take advantage.
Yeah, and that gap is coming down significantly. So, I mean, Tyler Neal is about 3.1 seconds down from his previous time. DCOG is about a second quicker. The gap now is just under 1.4 seconds and closing as they can make their way underneath the Motul Bridge along this very long back straight that lines all the way from T7 down to turn 10A, which they're now going to go into the braking zone for as we speak. And a little bit of dust kick up by DCOG going through into turn 10A, but manages to neaten it up very, very quickly through the second part of turn 10B. And coming across the line, that gap is now 6/10 and closing. That's now getting closer and closer to half a second as they filter their way through T1.
Yeah, this is going to be the battle to keep an eye on here at this point in the closing stages of this sprint race. Let's see, DCOG starting to poke and prod, starting to maybe move that black BMW into a position where they are going to be threatening, where they can maybe put Tyler Neal under pressure and see if they can force him to make a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah, that gap is getting closer and closer. DCOG is about half a second up on Tyler Neal as they're going to go through into turns 6 and 7. A lot of adverse camber to the inner right hand side, so the right front tyre will get a little bit of a pounding, but they're going to come out of turn 7 now, and this is the opportunity, at least this lap. And you can see now that DCOG is going to start getting the toe. That gap is coming down. It's 7/10, maybe even make that closer to half a second. So will we see a possible repeat of maybe DCOG setting it up the inside? This lap he's not going to be close enough. Oh, we did get very close. Very late on the brakes was the number 7 BMWs, right on the coattails of Tyler Neal coming out of turn 10B, and now is going to get the whole shot and the slipstream coming out of the final corner. It's going to be the run to turn 1 that's going to possibly decide who ends up in P5, but DCOG runs a little bit wide coming out of the final corner into T1. Tyler Neal keeps it on the straight and narrow thus far.
Keeps it on the straight and narrow for the moment, but that black BMW is going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger in that rear view mirror. A little bit of a poke to the inside there as they came up through the corners, and the blinking here by DCOG has got to be scaring him a little bit. That's as a result of the internet issues that he's going to be facing right now.
Yeah, so it is normally down to the internet connection for those uninitiated of you out there, but it's going to be the run down into T6 once again. Neal carries the speed a little bit wide out of T6, goes a little bit wide onto the approach into T7, but this is going to be the opportunity that DCOG's going to have right now. Gap now half a second. Out of turn 7 through 8, underneath the Motul Bridge. And then it's the run down through the very fast right-hand kink at turn 9, where they're going to be hitting north of 140 plus miles an hour. And then it's going to be the launch into turn 10A. What is DCOG going to do? And is Neal going to defend against it? Well, the answer pretty much was there when we saw it on the rear roof cam of Tyler Neal and the number 3 718 Cayman GT4. Down the hill again, underneath the bridge, through out of turn 12. Will DCOG run it a little bit wide? He does again, but that carries the momentum through for the number 7 BMW. Run down to T1. DCOG sticks the nose up the inside. Neal keeps a little bit wider, but that's going to open the door, and DCOG gets through.
Brilliant stuff there from DCOG, just putting that BMW into a position where there could have been a little bit of an error, trying to see if he could have forced Neal off the line. That's exactly what he did. Neal blinked, and DCOG able to take it away.
Now we head back to our race leader, Jamil Gummer, who's won multiple races this season, be it in GT3, GTP, and is on course to take it in GT4 here at Road Atlanta, because we are going to go onto the white flag lap this time. We'll start lap 14, out of 14, white flag in the air. Gummer now puts the pedal to the metal, 5th gear. Now down to 4th. Carries the speed nicely through, clips the apex curb, runs the car not too far wide out of T1 in the approach into turn 2, over the blind crest, down the hill through 3, and then into 4, neatly positioned by the number 1 in the Mercedes-AMG GT4. It's been a pretty good run from Gummer, who's now got a 9.6 second lead over Rafael Torres, who this time is holding on to the runner-up position.
Yeah, holding on to it here at this point, but hasn't even just as bad of a big gap between himself and Vincent that he does up to Gummer. As Gummer brings it around here through turn 6, one of the trickier corners on the track, handled it with ease here at this point. Got to bring it around right now. Now it's going to be the long blast down the back straightaway. Really only about 3 more corners to go.
So a pretty good run to pole position for the first race tonight. We've got a 25-minute race coming up. After our little bit of a breather, well, we'll give you a bit of ASMR from either qualifying or from race one. But through the chicane for the 14th and final time, from lights out to the checkered, it has been faultless. It has been dominant. As Jamil Gummer comes out of turn 12 for the 14th and final time, picks up the win in the penultimate race on round 5 of the DCRA Winter iRacing League. Rafael Torres will take second in the BMW M4 GT4, 10.8 seconds, well, about 11 seconds behind. And there's Daniel Vincent, 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. So Mercedes takes the win at a BMW, and McLaren comes around the final corner and takes P3.
All right, there you go. Philip Crane now coming down through the last couple of corners here at this point. That BASF BMW will cross through the final corner right now, and that'll be 4th place for the number 6.
We're just waiting for DCOG, but Tyler Neal is closing in the dying stages, trying to go for a late lunge through turn 12, and DCOG pips Neal by next to nothing. It was 0.133 at the flag. Cameron Campbell now coming over the crest down into turns 11 and 12 for the 14th and final time. Started 10th and stone dead last. And when others lost their head, he kept his cool and calm and brings it across the line to finish in P7. Jason Owens, who had that big moment on the opening lap, brings it home in 8th. It's going to be Todd Westphaling in the number 20, who's now going to make his way down through the final couple of corners, and it's going to be Seth Thomas in the 81 that is going to round out the finishing order as that completes the penultimate race of round 5, the final round of this season of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by Discovery Parts. I mean, DJ, what a way to kick off the final racing evening of this particular season of DCRA.
It's absolutely remarkable. This is what racing is all about. Love seeing these cars absolutely fling their way around Road Atlanta. There's no better way to end out a season than this.
So there are your results. Jamil Gummer winning by 11.1 seconds ahead of Rafael Torres, with Philip Crane showing up actually as P3. So then I'm not too sure if that is the case, because we did see the McLaren of Daniel Vincent, who's ended up down apparently a lap down. Not 100% sure why, but Philip Crane, when we saw it, came across the line in 4th. DCOG was in 5th. Tyler Neal pipped by next to nothing, 0.123 of a second at the line, and he managed to come back at DCOG. Tried, but it wasn't quite close enough. Cameron Campbell, Jason Owens, Todd Westphaling and Seth Thomas rounds out the finishing order as myself and DJ saw it on the screen. Of course, there is going to be a little bit of a break now, but we're going to give you some ASMR action here on the Global Sim Racing channel as we await for our final 25-minute feature race here at the world-acclaimed and very much respected Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We'll see you in a little bit. Welcome back to continuing coverage live on the Global SimRacing Channel for the final race of the final round of the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts, with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and DJ Clark in the commentary box, along with Daniel Costello being our broadcast director, using cameras by Dougie Beard. Of course, we just watched and enjoyed a little bit of ASMR there, DJ, but of course this is the final hurrah, the bit of bragging rights when they're out on track, when they do their private track days. We've got 2 minutes and 18 seconds and things are a little bit closer. Look at the top six covered by less than a second. Things have heated up a little bit since the opening race.
Well, things may have heated up on the track, but the air itself has cooled down a little bit. As you can see, the sun's starting to set here at Road Atlanta, and I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing this convergence of times, is the track conditions have just gotten a little bit better for all of the drivers here at this point, and so they're going to be able to take their way out and around. The Rafael Junior Torres, a little bit of a rough run there for him coming up and over the curbs. He's going to be able to gather everything back up underneath him, but he is still going to be able to try to close down on Gummer, who has set the top marks here once again.
Yep, Seth Thomas out of the final corner. Slightly improves on lap time. Well, that lap time looks to have been possibly disallowed, but the number 81 Nola Sport liveried Porsche 718 Cayman GT4, currently P3. Philip Crane rounds out, down all the way down in 8th position, but we saw some great overtaking by the BASF M4 GT4. Jamil Gummer winning by 11.1 seconds in the opening 20-minute race, but is still the driver to beat in qualifying. But I'm hoping this time around, as you said, DJ, that we've got, we've got that red sky at night, Shepherd's Delight situation here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. The headlights very much on and prominent on the front ends of each of these cars. This could really add a little bit of a dynamic. I'm wondering whether Gummer's not going to have a much more of a dominant time like he did in the opening race.
Well, it certainly doesn't look like it. I mean, only a 0.3 of a second advantage here at this point is nothing too big to definitely be thinking about. So I think he could be in a position where he's going to have to try to get his way forward, and Rafael Torres is going to have to try to apply a little bit more pressure here at this point. We're going to have to see what that BMW can do. And I'm also curious to see this battle from about 3rd on back to 5th. That's only separated by 0.3 of a second. That is a very close running there at that point, and I think that's really where the meat of this battle is going to exist.
Yep, so the checkered is out for the last qualifying session of this season of the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts. Phil Crane comes across the line, stays in 8th position on a 1:27.293, nearly 2.2 seconds behind Jamil Gummer, who will again line up for pole position for the final race. Probably, I think, the driver, by my recollection over the course of the season, the most pole positions, and I think possibly the most wins in a variety of different machinery when it comes to GT3s, GTPs, and now GT4. Jamil Gummer could look to close out this season with a double pole position, and what's more, a double victory.
Yeah, and if he's able to do that, I mean, we've been talking about bragging rights really this entire time. What better bragging rights to be able to walk back into the regular season than to have that on board? That would be absolutely remarkable for him. We'll have to see if he's able to keep it. Still waiting for a few cars to cross over the line here at this point, but Gummer looks like he's got pole position, so he's half of the way there to getting that ultimate bragging rights.
Down to 9 cars now, because Todd Westfelling is not on the grid for this particular occasion. So we have got 9 out of the 10 cars that joined us earlier on the server here on the iRacing service. So the timer is going to count down, and once that has elapsed, we will be set with our final grid of what has been a fantastic championship. Even though there aren't any championship points, it's about who can one up the other, and Jamil Gummer's definitely had everyone's number here tonight.
Yeah, certainly has. Gummer is the driver to beat here at this point. But once again, look at that. Thomas and Vincent only separated by about a 1/10 of a second. That's going to be a fierce battle. And the other thing to keep in mind here is these temperatures drop with the setting sun. Tires are going to be colder. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to get grip on that first lap.
Let's hope Jason Owens doesn't have a mare like he did on the opening lap in the first race of the day. So here's the starting grid for the final race on round 5 of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts. And it's a carbon copy on the front row. Jamil Gummer and Rafael Jr. Torres on the front row. Seth Thomas and Daniel Vincent, row 2. Jason Owens and DCOG will be on row 3 with Cameron Campbell, Philip Crane and Tyler Neal. Rounding out the 9-strong grid, covered by, I think it was about just over 2 and a bit seconds after qualifying. It's a 25-minute race, so a little bit more strategy and also conservation of those tyres will be crucial. There you can see the track and the air temperatures have plummeted. We were at 35 degrees Celsius for the first race. Wind has now become northern, and it's a fourth of what we saw in the opening race. It's clear, not cloudy. 25% humidity, which will also prove to be a little bit of a problem with cold tyres and cold brakes. So the field is now making their way through turns 10A and 10B. Will we see the lightning quick reactions of the number 1 Mercedes of Jamil Gummer, who's going to lead the field out of turn 10B, now over the crest, down the hill through turns 11 and 12. Pace car in the pits, green flag waves, and we are underway. And Rafael Jr. Torres this time got a better start and is keeping Jamil Gummer very honest. As up the inside looks to be Daniel Vincent trying to go through into P4, maybe even try and go for third as Thomas and Owens side by side over the crest through turn 2, down the hill into turn 3. Nip and tuck between the Porsche and the Mercedes. The McLaren loses out a little bit in the meantime.
Yeah, he's going to lose out there at that point. Right now, they're going to try to keep everything single file as they go through the S's. That's going to be one of the more difficult places on the circuit to be able to get everything to play. And look at that gap. Something's happened there to Rafael Jr. Torres, as it looks like he is now under pressure from Thomas.
I think he might have had a possible slowdown penalty if he ran a little bit wide, and he's going to lose out P2 through into turn 7. Torres swings it wide round the outside of Thomas, and now Owens is going to look to get past the Porsche and does so, getting the real good amount of traction by using the outside line as someone went off and I think has just hit the barriers coming out of T7. And I think Tyler Neal might have had a little bit of an altercation, possibly with the barriers, or just went freewheeling off and managed to stop it in time.
Yeah, just managed to stop it in time, but look at this run here of everybody farther back in the field right now at this point, trying to lead their way through turns 10A and B, as now there goes Thomas around the outside of Torres. It's a battle for P2.
And in the meantime, Vincent has got past Owens, so it was Thomas deciding to do the Hail Mary round the outside, got the job done through the exit of turn number 12 as we ride on the front bumper cam with Jason Owens right up the rear of the number 100 McLaren 570S GT4 of Daniel Vincent as they go down into the S's on lap 2. We're due to have 17 laps, and Philip Crane has had a bit of a spill and he's off the circuit.
I wonder if that's maybe as a result of a little bit of front to rear contact, maybe just a little bit of miscommunication when they came through. Let's take another look at it here at this point. This is Tyler Neal coming back up and over. Neal skipping and jumping over the curbs. Yeah, oh, and that's what sent him around on the first lap.
Oh, dearie me. It's not how you want to start the race. You've got the same indentation on the front bumper, just like Cameron Campbell did on race 1 out of round 5. But still, Thomas is holding off the advances of Rafael Jr. Torres as they are making their way over the crest through in towards turn 9. Now it's the run down the hill into turn 10A, and Torres is looking for the inside line through the first part of the chicane. He's going to get through for second, but will Thomas be able to come back at him? He's going to try and attempt it through turn 10B, but to no avail as the number 777 BMW gets back through for second.
Nice job there for Junior Torres, and now it looked like Owens was trying to take a little bit of a look on, Vincent was trying to take a little bit of a look there in the back as well. We've got some fierce competition playing out side by side. That's Owens and Vincent trying to sort each other out.
Yeah, Owens trying to go towards the outside through into turn 2, but Vincent able to place the 570S McLaren exactly where he needs to on the racing line. Meantime, the Nola Sport Porsche, the number 81, piloted by Seth Thomas, trying to keep Rafael Junior Torres in the 777 BMW M4 very, very honest. And it's still not quite separated. Oh, bit of a mistake there. Bit of a mistake by Junior Torres coming out of turn 5 after the S's. And that is going to allow Thomas to close through turn 6 and 7 and might get the carry of momentum and the slipstream all the way through to turn 10A.
It very well might. Let's see what he does here at this point as we jump back to take a look at the replay. This is what happened to Philip Crane. I wonder if this is going to be a nearly identical incident to what we saw on the first lap. Too much curb, and that just displaces the suspension there of that BMW, sends it right around.
But at least, unlike Tyler Neal, he did not hit the barriers, so he got away with a get-out-of-jail-free card on that one. But meantime, Thomas, looking up the inside of Junior Torres into turn 10A, was unable to do the deed and get the job done. But this time, the Porsche has mighty traction coming out of turn 10B. Now through 11 and through into 12. Jamil Gummer's got a 7.3 second advantage as we ride on board with Seth Thomas looking to the inside. On the run down the start-finish straight into T1. The 81's going to go late on the brakes into the curbing on the inside of T1. Torres and Thomas side by side over the hill at the top of the crest through into turn 2. Torres back into second through on the apex, and it's a run wide there for Torres, but he still keeps second. Thomas is going to pin it round the outside through into the S's, and the 81 Porsche retakes second position. Great exchange.
Great exchange there. Absolutely brilliant stuff for both Thomas and Torres. Really and truly giving each other just enough room to make that exciting. And now Vincent and Owens still going at it here at this point. Going to try to make that play going down into turn 6. Contact between the two.
Oh, and then Decog clatters into the right front of Owens at that point, and he's got Campbell breathing all over the back of the rear wing and the rear exhaust pipes as Cameron looks to the right hand side, going over underneath the Motul bridge as they head their way down towards turn 9. Campbell slots back in behind the Mercedes to get the slipstream, and he's going to look to the inside. It's going to put him on the outside for turn 10A. Cameron 2 wheels on the grass, and that loses him a lot of time into the chicane.
Yeah, it certainly does there at that point. He is going to have to try to fight back up, much like we're seeing out of Rafael Junior Torres right now. But he's got to watch out because Vincent's not too far behind him as well. This could be a 3-car fight for the final 2 steps on the podium.
And he's going to go for it up the inside of turn 1. Thomas is possibly going to lose out to Torres through into T1. Loss of momentum by the BMW. And Vincent gets an almighty run going over the hill at turn 2 and into 3 and 4. But he has to slot back in behind the 777 BMW. Again, just really showcasing that you make one slight millimetre wrong effort and it puts you on the back foot and puts you in harm's way with the car behind.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, that is the kind of infinitesimal margins that we are dealing with here at this point, and it is very, very tough to be able to keep everything together. We take a look back at Cameron Campbell right now trying to close in on Owens. He had a little bit of an off not too long ago. Yeah,
but there's still 18 minutes and 10 seconds still to play. But Jamil Gummer already within the first 7 minutes has got an almighty lead, 11.7 seconds, because everyone's scrapping away. Let's have a look at the GSRC replay as Cameron Campbell was right up the rear wing, looks to the right-hand side. This will be the replay from the previous lap. He went all 4 wheels onto the grass and mowed it a little bit at the same point with the front splitter, and that really put him on the back foot behind Jason Owens going into turns 10A and B. If he kept it to the left-hand side, maybe he could have had a look up the inside as Vincent now pressurizing Torres through turn 12. Jamil Gummer, new fastest lap, 1:25.074. Vincent looking to the outside on the run through into T1. He might try and go for the crisscross if Torres runs a little bit wide, and that looks to be the case. Vincent with the overspeed in the 570S. He's looking around the outside, but Torres still keeps his nerve and stays ahead for third.
He'll stay ahead for third for the moment. I'm not sure how much longer that's going to play out for him here at this point. Let's take a look as there they go, going down through the S's. Owens putting all kinds of pressure onto the back of Decog right now. Let's see if he gets a run into turn 6.
The good thing is that when you look at it this way, DJ, Owens is only 2.4 seconds behind Thomas. So this battle for the final 2 steps on the rostrum, second, third, being contested by, get this folks, 5 drivers. All 5 drivers have an opportunity to get a podium because Gummer is a wait and clear and is pretty much checked out.
Yeah, exactly. Just Gummer is in a class of himself here. Everybody else is fighting for the rest of this field. That's what we're looking at here at this point. It's that impressive of a battle.
Yeah, as we go down the hill, down the descent into turn 10A. Owens just trying to keep it neat and tidy. A little bit of a sloppy exit for Decog through out of turn 10B. This could give the Mercedes the opportunity to get the slingshot down into turn 1, but he's not quite close enough yet. As we were riding in cockpit cam with the number 8 Mercedes through into T1, Decog and Owens going line astern, about 2 car lengths between the pair. But Owens carries a lot more momentum through T1. He's really got that Mercedes hooked up.
Yeah, he really and truly does. He just understands how that car is feeling here at this point, and that's really a testament to what he's got underneath him. He knows what that car is doing. He knows how it's going to respond, and crucially in that Mercedes, a front-engine car is, Philip Crane has had a problem.
Oh, from hero to zero, unfortunately, for the BASF number 9 BMW M4 GT4. 2 big mistakes there for Philip Crane. And that really has put him out of the running for any good position within the top 5 this evening in race 2. We've still got over 15 minutes to go, and the battle is fast and furious between Torres and Vincent, squabbling over 2nd, 3rd and 4th respectively. But it is going to be a case of this one. I think, DJ, the fireworks have yet to be lit completely, as well as the bonfire that could accompany it.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there about that. I'm getting a sneaking suspicion that this is just holding on here at this point, and we're waiting for the final 5 minutes of this race. Crane, though, looks like he had a same problem on a different corner, just caught too much of that curb, and that set him up and over.
Yeah, it was the right side. I mean, you could see the damper rates going into overdrive, and it just pitched the car around the back end. Fishtailing from left-hand side and just rotated the car near on a 180 as Jason Owens still putting the pressure on Decog as they go through turns 3 and 4, down the descent into the S's and then into the very, very challenging turn 5, because as we said earlier on, you've just got to watch it. A lot less curb taken through the S's by Owens in comparison with Decog, and that's really put the BMW into the clutches of the Mercedes in through turn 6, the first of the two left-handers we have here at the far part of the circuit. But Torres and Vincent, nothing can be separated between them, but Owens is now going to look to the right-hand side as they now make their way out of turn number 8. Owens slotting in behind Decog to try and get that slipstream once again as they've got the real long run through here into turn 9. Which way does Owens go? Does he go left? Does he go right? We're going to find out now. He's going to pull to the inside of Decog, and at that point he was not far enough behind. He was not close enough behind nor far enough alongside to make the move happen.
No, he certainly wasn't. Just not able to get it done. Discretion proving the better part of valor. But let's see what happens here for Daniel Vincent up in P2. He's going to try to take a look around the outside of the BMW, diving down into turn 1. No, backs out of it. Discretion again, proving the better part of valor.
Yep, it's like trying to attempt it once, then twice, and then think, well, hang on, I've got to revisit the attack plan like a play out of the NFL playbook at the Super Bowl. But the thing is, Vincent is making Torres work for this runner-up position. It hasn't been easy for the 777 BMW M4 because that McLaren 570S GT4, which is still used in GT4 competition but is being phased out, being replaced by the new Artura, which currently holds the race lap record of a 1:26.119 at the 2023 Fox Factory 120, courtesy of Jesse Lazar. But again, the McLaren 570S, just like the MP412C, which I'll be completely honest, DJ, doesn't get used that much in GT3 competition. But when someone has that car underneath them with an open setup and it's just absolutely flying, that's very much the case in point with the 570S here in GT4.
Yeah, exactly. That's really and truly what it is. When that car is hooked up, when you know how that car is, when you know how it sets, when you know how it's going to be good, it is going to be fantastic, and it is hard to beat on any given day. It's a tough car to get underneath you, don't get me wrong, but if you get it right, there are few better feelings in the world than driving that car.
Yeah, means that I have to ask the question to you folks out there watching at the moment. When, not if, will Daniel Vincent pull the pin on the grenade and get through on Rafael Junior Torres? Meantime, we have got Seth Thomas, who's now made his way past Cameron Campbell for 6th position. Of course, Seth, having a bit of a drama in the meantime, was battling with those 4 other drivers that were battling over 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th and 6th a little bit earlier on. We are past half time, 11 minutes and 10 seconds on the timing to go. Gummer's got a lead of 16.3 seconds. And as they say, if you haven't seen where the leader is, he's doing a pretty good job at the front end of the field, but a slow run out of turn 7 by DCOG. This could be the opportunity that Owens needs, but he's on the right-hand side of this long backstretch. But it could give him the run. He's now going to get the side draft if he's close enough alongside the BMW. Now through into turn 9. Now who's going to be the latest on the brakes? Who's going to have the biggest stones of all? Is it going to be Owens? Is it going to be DCOG? It's going to be Owens. Great move.
Great move there for Owens to be able to sweep around the outside, make that work there at that point. 10.5 minutes left on the clock, and these drivers are starting to drive just like that. And look at this, a nice little look in on our leader, Jamel Gummer, who we haven't really seen all that much here, but that's because a 16-second lead up at the front of the field.
That's a lovely little camera shot we just saw there. Jamil Gummer coming up the hill and then literally coming across the camera position. Both sets of wheels on either side of the camera lens. Absolutely brilliant camera shot. Just giving you a real indication of some of the speeds that these drivers are carrying through at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. But Jamil Gummer now makes his way down the backstretch. We're due to complete 18 laps. We're on lap 11 at the moment with 9 3/4 minutes to go. But still it's heating up between Vincent, Torres, Owens and DCOG, because the gap between them is less than 2 seconds. There they are. There's 4 cars in a row, and it's going to be difficult to say. In the meantime, Vincent has got past Torres for P2, so that McLaren has made the move when we possibly didn't see what happened. But Vincent now has the run on Torres. Owens is factoring back into this with the Tequila Patron liveried Mercedes AMG GT4. Could the BMW come under threat from the Mercedes? Not this time into the chicane.
Not quite this time yet, but we'll have to see what he's able to do a little bit later on. He's going to put the pressure on. Here comes DCOG on the fight back. A little bit of a blink down to the inside. They're going to be close through the final corner, but I think the BMW's got the advantage.
Yeah, there was a bit of a run wide by Owens coming out of turn 10B. Just ran a little bit wide. The left side tyres caught the grass and kicked up the dirt, and that was the opportunity that DCOG needed. Saw the opening, took it with full gusto and conviction and made the move work. But Owens is coming back at DCOG. This is going to be close, and he gets back through. That's another incredible move. Such great competition between this quartet, and Jason Owens in the number 8 Mercedes manages to get back through. And again, we're seeing a repeat of what we saw in the last race. Tyler Neal versus Philip Crane. This is for 8th and 9th.
Yep, but they're going to be battling it out here at this point. Remember, these are both drivers that have had their fair share of a little bit of offs here at this point. So this is a little bit of increased bragging rights for them. I think both of them wanting to get back and get on the right foot.
Yeah, and sometimes that is easier said than done, because when you make a mistake, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to blame yourself. You're possibly going to blame the equipment that you're using, but you've got to dust yourself off, carry on, and just run your own race. A little bit more aggressive on the curbing through turn 6 was Philip Crane at that point, but Tyler Neal just keeping it nice and clean, just crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure everything works. But still, whilst this duo is battling away, I've also kept an eye on the time between Vincent and DCOG, 2nd to 5th. It has not gone any higher than around 2 seconds. It's less than it's around about 1.9 seconds. So any one of those 4 drivers could end up second. 7 minutes and 10 seconds still to go. Torres and Vincent now have pulled a little bit of a gap between themselves and Owens and DCOG, who are still battling over the scraps on the dinner table on a Sunday evening for 4th place. But Owens now back ahead of DCOG after that absolutely ballsy move through out of turn 4.
Yeah, exactly. A brilliant move to be able to get that to play, and really and truly it is paying dividends here at this point. And I'm very, very impressed with the gap that they're able to pull, and I attribute some of that to Rafael Jr. Torres here at this point, letting Vincent run away a little bit, not keeping up that side-by-side battle, and recognizing that they can pull a little bit of a gap over Owens and DCOG, get themselves into a position to be able to then set up for the final 5 minutes of the race and go and have an absolute scrap at that point.
Well, Jamil Gummer is that close to breaking the 1 minute 25 second barrier. Just sets the new fastest lap of the evening. 1 minute 25.020. Incredible pace by the race leader, who's now nearly 21 seconds ahead of Daniel Vincent. Rafael Jr. Torres rounds out the top three as Neil and Crane down the backstretch. And Crane is doing the old NASCAR bump drafting trick here into turn 10A. Is he going to go round the outside? Yes, he is.
Nice little play there at that point, as they're still going to be side by side coming around the corner, coming down into it, contact, and that is going to be the Porsche off, but able to collect it. How did he keep a hold on that? How did Tyler Neal keep it the straight way?
I think he was just 4 on the floor and foot to the floor on that one was Tyler Neal. Just absolutely just mullered the throttle and went, right, just power out of this, power out of this. You just got to keep off the grass. And at least that car did not go straight on and hit the barriers nose end in, because that would have been Tyler Neal's race done and dusted. Meantime, Owens and DCOG still battling away. You can see that Owens is occasionally moving to the other part of the circuit. So if he's on the left, he'll pull to the right-hand side. But he can only do that once. No excessive weaving or blocking. But DCOG closing in under breaking through into turn 10A. This is getting to be another slobber knocker here for 4th and 5th position. Will Owens run wide out of turn 10B this occasion? Not quite the case. Gets the run down the hill. What a nice little camera shot we've got here from the driver's perspective here on board with DCOG and the number 7 BMW, trying to close that gap into T1 on Owens. And needed a little bit more slipstream, needed a little bit more overspeed, but is going to carry that BMW's performance in terms of the handling characteristics of that inline-6 turbocharged 3-litre engine. And again, it's a repeat of what we're seeing now. And Crane goes a little bit wide out of turn 10B. Neil this time manages to stay in behind him, so he's going to get the slingshot out of the final corner down the start-finish straight, and Neil's going to try and just wait for the last moment, the last second possible, to try and get the move done on Crane through into T1. Is he going to try and do it? He pulls to the outside, tries to get the crisscross, but Crane defends nice and neatly.
Defends nice and neatly, doesn't need to push anything here at this point. He knows he's got the preferred line coming up through 2 and 3, but he gets a little bit squirrely, takes a little bit too much of that curb, and there you see Neil trying to maybe think about a little bit of a move coming down into the S's right now, but that's still not going to play itself out. They're going to have to keep in a single file order here at this point, and look at that escape as we jump back up to Vincent and Torres.
Yeah, Vincent still holding on to that second position by a finger thread right now as they come out of the final corner. And we still got 3 minutes and 13 seconds still to go, which I think probably by my calculations puts us on approximately 2, maybe 3 laps at a push, because Jamil Gummer's way up the road, 21.3 seconds and climbing with 3 minutes on the clock remaining. Look at the suspension travel on the right-hand side on Rafael Jr. Torres, literally hurling the car through turn number 2, and still manages to carry the momentum through, get all 4 corners onto the tarmac, and it provides the grip and the traction that he needs. And again, Neil and Crane side by side out of turns 11 and 12, and Neil this time gets through and makes the pass easily done.
Easily done, Neil, just putting pressure to the back, making sure that he had enough to be able to do that and made it play. A brilliant move there for him, but a little bit wide through turn 1. He may have sent it all away.
Yeah, it's about how Crane responds to that as they come over the crest through into turn 2, into 3, down the hill. And looks like Crane lost a little bit of momentum, might have just hit the curves a bit too aggressively at that point in the circuit, so it gave Neil the opportunity to now have nigh on a 7/10 of a second advantage as they come out of turn 5 after the S's. But again, that gap is closing. That BMW has got some speed. When you light up the rear tyres, you get the bite of the traction on the tarmac. And that Beamer, when it's on song, will fire ahead. But again, look now. Torres sweeping to the left, sweeping to the right of Vincent. And again, this is through T1. Vincent is defending as if his life depended on it. We've got 2 to go here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
And he is definitely defending as if his life depends on it here at this point. Torres trying to be able to keep ahead of, or trying to be able to get a run here on Vincent. And look at just how much of the curb that BMW is taking, coming through the S's, clobbering over the curbs, pushing everything that they have. As here they come down into turn 6. A little bit earlier on the binders was Vincent, and that allows for Torres to close right up.
Oh, and again, you can just see the rear LED tail lights on that BMW literally light up quite quickly as Torres was quickly on the anchors heading into turn 7. Also, I noticed that the spring rate on that McLaren just was at one point, it looked like the front left corner was completely airborne. White flag for the final time here at the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts. And Jamil Gummer has been the driver of the night. Pole position in both races, and has got around 2 miles here at Road Atlanta to complete, and it'll be double delight on pole position and race victories.
Yeah, he just needs to keep it together here at this point. And oh, look at this, a mistake for Torres. That is Rafael Jr. Torres falling way back behind Daniel Vincent.
I think possibly a slowdown. Oh, Seth Thomas. Seth Thomas has had a big off in the Nuller Sport 81 Porsche coming on to the final lap of the race. And Tyler Neal has also dropped the ball as well at the same time. So disaster for those 2 Porsches as we are on the final lap.
Yep, and here they go. Torres is going to do everything he can to try to close back in, but I'm not sure if he's got enough here at this point to be able to do that. That may just be a little bit too much to bite off.
Yeah, we are coming down to the final few corners of the DCRA Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts. It has been another dominant display. 11.1 seconds was the winning margin after the 20-minute opener here tonight. And we just had a moment for Tyler Neal. He's just put it in the barriers, is out of the final corner. 2 for 2. That's the way to round off the season. 2 pole positions and 2 race wins for Jamil Gummer. Daniel Vincent now has a country mile between himself and, well, Rafael Jr. Torres has binned it, apparently. He's lost a big amount of time, so Jason Owens is going to be battling away with Decog right up until the checkered, but Vincent comes around the final corner in the 570S McLaren, takes P2, 25.6 seconds behind. Oh, Decog's dropped it as well. He's tumbled out of the top 4. Owens is going to take P3. Torres will now get 4th place, and Decog, with no front hood on that BMW, will come round the final corner. A very battle-scarred one of Munich's finest comes across the line, takes P5, and Seth Torres just goes literally steaming into the back of him. You went, well, this is the final race of the season. There's no IOUs, there's no invoices. Right, Decog, you're going to go flying. Didn't need wings on that one.
No, certainly didn't need any wings on that at that point. Philip Crane here looks like going to be one of the last drivers to come across the line. Actually got a little bit of a bump there from your leader of Gummer. It sounds like we've got a couple of replays to come back on here to check out and figure out exactly what happened on a pretty chaotic last lap.
Yeah, very much the case. As here's the first one coming up here on the GSRC replay. So this is Rafael Torres. This is through coming through out of turn 7. He just hits the loud pedal a bit too hard, rotates the car, wheel spins 180, then spins the car back around. That dropped him down to what was 5th. And then next up we'll have Decog, who's sustained massive damage on the front end of that BMW, which we'll get to in just a second, but a lot of damage to the number 7 BMW of the Decog BMW M4 GT4. It was like literally that is the only car that has actually lost its hood in the entirety of the racing we've seen tonight. We did see that I think one of the cars, I think it might have been Jason. It might not have been Jason Owens, but it was another Mercedes that ended up going off and hitting the barriers. But DJ, that, we're getting the replay queued up now. Big thank you to Dan Costello for this. But it's coming out of turn 10B. Oh, dearie me. He just whacked the throttle. He was trying to keep pace with Jason Owens, and it just over-rotated with the outside curb. Just caught the rear left tire as the traction was trying to bite down, and with that uneven surface, it rotated the car. But here are the results of the final race of the final round of this season of the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League, powered by DiscoveryParts. Jamil Gummer wins the race, and it was 25.48 seconds at the end of that one, ahead of Daniel Vincent with Jason Owens, Rafael Torres, DCOG, Seth Thomas. That looks like the qualifying results we actually had from earlier on. So please ignore that at the moment, folks. So there are the race results. Jamil Gummer wins by over double the lead that he took in the opening race ahead of Daniel Vincent. Jason Owens rounds out the top three, and this time it was a Mercedes first and third, McLaren in P2. Rafael Torres close but no cigar in fourth, and the 777 BMW with DCOG sustaining heavy damage but still bringing it across the line in fifth. Seth Thomas in sixth, Cameron Campbell, Philip Crane and Tyler Neal rounding out the 9 strong. And it's going to be it. I think at the end of it, it's really a really good way of ending the season. We've had a few calamities in the final lap of the race. These drivers have been racing for probably the best of the last couple of hours. But I think we have got a couple of drivers actually wanting to come in for a chat, and I do recognise one of the names. So let's see if we can first of all bring in possibly Cameron Campbell, who actually finished P7. I don't know if you wanted to take the lead on these interviews here, DJ.
I would absolutely love to. Let's go ahead and bring down Cameron. Cameron Campbell, a great season across the board, but let's focus on today. How was it for you, my friend?
It was a tough one out there. I haven't practiced much, but it was a whole lot of fun. So it was fun watching all the guys ahead of me battle it out. And I dropped back a little bit, made some mistakes. But it was a whole lot of fun just getting on track tonight.
Well, I mean, talk to me. Obviously, you guys have so much experience, particularly here at Road Atlanta. Do you use the sim a lot for that kind of training to get yourself ready? Or is this a little bit more of just kind of a fun way to have a good time with some buddies here on a Tuesday night?
Well, a lot of members utilize the sim to practice not only here at Road Atlanta, but when they travel to other tracks around the country. It's a great tool for that. But we have a SimCraft unit here in the clubhouse, and members get to utilize it.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic, Cameron. And what I've got to ask you, obviously, do you have any things lined up for the next year in terms of real-life racing?
I am not racing this year at all, but just looking to get on track with the club maybe a little bit, and do a lot of other sim racing here with the DCRA league.
Well, wonderful, my friend. And, I guess we wish you all the luck in the world with the sim racing, and we hope at some point to see you on the track here pretty soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was Cameron Campbell here, joining us here from the Driving Club. Absolutely fantastic to have them with us, Alex.
It's always really good to hear from, with Cameron saying, look, I'm not racing this year, but I want to get out on track. That to me just says that there is a love, when you're a petrol head, the adrenaline buzz never goes away. You're just counting down the days, the hours, the minutes until you can go, right, okay, let's ready things up. Let's put the fire extinguisher in the car. Make sure the roll cage is all secure. The 4 or the 6 point or the 8 point harnesses. Is the race helmet all okay? Let's get everything sorted out, whether they've got full slicks or semi-cut slicks to go on the track days. Of course, they've got to make sure that nothing happens out on the circuit, tire pressures, tire temperatures, brake temperatures, light, the same thing, folks. It doesn't matter whether you're a real life racer or you're someone who goes out for track events. You have to have the same modus operandi every single time. You've got to make sure, as the icon that is Mr. Lamar, Tom Christensen, one particular year, if anyone might remember Truth in 24-2, He was one of the advisors for the Audi team, and he said, you always have to keep your weapons sharp. And when there was only one Audi R18 running against the might of the Peugeots those days, with the old 908 HDIs, it was Lotterer, Trullier, and Fessler that went full pelt for twice around the clock and broke the French mark and picked up the victory. That is just personification on how it all goes. It really does show. I'm just going to check my Discord DMs because I've just had someone pop a message into there. So give me a second on that one. I'll just see if someone has sent me either a friend request or a message. There we go. Right. Okay. We've actually got the person who's been driving the DCOG car all season. So we might need to pull them in. So DJ, over to you.
All right, my friend, the driver of fame and song and story behind the DCOG machine themselves. How are you? How was it out there on the track?
Oh, doing well. It was a lot of fun. Probably the best race we had all season.
Well, I want to talk to you. How does it compare to the real Road Atlanta? Obviously, you guys know this track like the back of your hand. I'm curious how virtual Road Atlanta compares.
You know, it is. It's a great simulation. You know, without having a full motion rig at home, I feel like you get pretty close to the real thing. It's very similar.
Well, fantastic. And what is in store for the driving club over the course of this year? And for anybody that's interested in checking it out, what can they expect from you guys?
Well, we've got a little bit more sim racing, but just some more track days. We've got 18 days this year on track. We just had our first day, and you know, a lot of events. We got a F1 watch party coming up. So these guys, we were joking in the Discord on Jamil pulling a max and just leaving the rest of the race behind. So we followed motorsports throughout the whole season.
Well, fantastic, my friend. I hope you enjoy the F1 watch party. Hope it gets a little bit more exciting over the course of the next races. But we look forward to seeing you out on the track, my friend. And we look forward to seeing you around the bend.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, hopefully put a name to the DCOG car for the season. It's been fun getting out here running with these guys.
And I've got what? Sorry to cut across you there, but I've just noticed the race for autism
Yes.
on the sticker side. What's the affiliation with regards to it? Because of course my family, we have a family member who is heavily autistic. I know people such as Bobby Trunley from Team Brit who considers autism to be their superpower. We've got I think it's Armani Williams, who's been doing a lot of support series for NASCAR, is also an autistic race driver. What's the correlation with regards to that on the livery for you?
Yeah, I'm glad you caught that. This one was a little bit more subtle than some of the other liveries, but my nephew has autism, and and also Tyler Neal. I know he's got a lot of fans watching. He's got someone in his family as well with it. So there's a handful of members that are impacted by it in one way or another, and you know, it is something that anytime I get a chance to run the livery, I do.
That's really, really good to hear. But thanks very much for jumping in with us to have a little bit of chat after what's been a great DCRA Winter iRacing League, and we're looking forward, hopefully, for you guys to be back with us here at GSRC. But well done tonight, great racing, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, see you guys soon, and hopefully we'll do some one-off events, even if we don't get another season going until winter. We do plan on at least a couple one-off races for everybody, so we look to see you guys for those.
Brilliant. Well, folks, that really rounds up things up. DJ, final thoughts on what has been two brilliant races here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta to close out the Winter iRacing League for DCRA, powered by DiscoveryParts.
Well, I said it before, I'll say it again. There is no better way to end a season than at Road Atlanta. This track put up fantastic action, and I, for one, am going to be sorry to see the driving club go here for the meantime. Looking forward to those special events that they promised, though.
Yeah, well, a big thank you to, first of all, all of you watching on the Global SimRacing Channel here with us here tonight on Tuesday evening. A big thank you to DJ, my partner in crime in the commentary box, Daniel Costello behind the scenes as our director, Dougie Beard for the cameras. My name's Alex Goldschmidt. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merch store listed on the screen. And whilst you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. And whilst you're at it, be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and if in doubt, go flat out. Goodbye.
Yeah.